Owning a vehicle that you have to store outdoors is a very sad thing from a detailer's perspective, because when we get done doing what we're doing and then you take it home and there's no shelter for the vehicle, it's kind of a sad thing. But we know that it does happen and it does exist. We know that there's a lot of folks around the world that don't have garages for their investments. And while that might be a big bummer, it's something that we see all the time. And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about, if you have a vehicle that is kept outdoors, it's okay, but you just need to know that you have a huge amount of work ahead of you compared to the person who has a garage for their vehicle. Here's why. When you have a vehicle that's kept outdoors all the time, you're highly susceptible to temperature fluctuations. Now, that might not seem like a big deal unless you live in a southern state or one of the hotter states in the United States, because what happens is when your vehicle gets supremely hot, let's say on a 90-degree day, okay? And let's take the shop truck here, this black little old Chevy of ours, for example. The paint surface of this little old black Chevy outside in an Alabama 90-degree sunny day, the surface of this paint is going to be approaching 200 degrees, which means whatever is on it, as that paint is hot and swelling and just ready to absorb, if there's bird poop, if there's water spots, if there's anything else acidic like a berry from a tree or anything like that, and it lands on it, it's just sizzling and frying into the surface, which is not good. Now, if you have a lighter colored vehicle, yeah, the paint surface might not be as hot, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still sweltering on the paint surface, okay? So when you have a super hot paint surface, any sort of contaminants that are on your paint are just getting ingrained into the surface, which means they have to either be heavily cut and polished out, or some other method of removing of those contaminants. So when you have a vehicle that's kept outside, it's very difficult to not get water spots. Let me paint a picture for you, okay? Let's say a shop truck sits outside all day today, okay? And then I take it home if I didn't have a garage for this truck, and I let it sit outside overnight, okay? Then that overnight dew settles on the hood and the roof and the trunk. Well, in this case, it's a truck, but you get the idea if you drive a sedan. Settles down on the top surfaces, okay? So that dew settles. Then that dew doesn't get wiped off, but then the sun comes out, okay? Well, in that dew, especially if you live outside, you probably also have some sort of tree sediment or fallout like that that gets mingled in with that dew. So now you have this potpourri, this stew of overnight dew and any sort of contaminants that came along throughout the night landed in that. Now you take and throw some super hot sun on top of all that, and you're just baking a mess into your paint. That's what causes mineral spots. It's what causes water spotting. It's what causes any sort of fallout and etching. All of that stuff is just bad news for your paint. That's why your car doesn't stay hydrophobic for very long. So you really have to stay on top of it big time if you have a vehicle that's kept outside. If you don't have a garage for your vehicle, you're going to be washing it more frequently, whether that be a conventional wash or an EcoShine waterless wash. You're going to be decontaminating it more frequently, whether that be with some sort of, clay block, clay bar, or fallout remover. You're going to be boosting the protection way more frequently with some sort of hydrophobic soaps and detail sprays and booster sprays and things like that. You're going to be doing all of those things probably 4 to 5 times more frequently than the person who has a garage would have to. So I just want to explain that to you. So if you have a vehicle and you don't have a garage for it and you genuinely really care for it, you are gonna have to be on your absolute best behavior, especially on those top surfaces. You might be able to keep the sides a little bit cleaner if you don't have a whole lot of inclement weather throughout the course of a week, but those top surfaces are just getting pummeled constantly by fallout, by sun, by the overnight dew. All of those things are just wreaking havoc on all your top surfaces. And then what makes it even worse is that by the time you get to the hood, well, now you've even got the heat from your motor driving it back and forth to work every day or whatever it might be. So now you've got added generated heat on the hood. So I would highly recommend you take a look at like the EcoShine waterless wash system. We've got a video on this. And potentially, if you have a vehicle that's kept outside, you could do a waterless wash on your top surfaces, literally, as much as I hate to say it, literally every day, to try to keep the contaminants and the overnight dew just off of your top surfaces. Something to think about. So if you don't have shelter for your vehicle, I would really look into a way that you could find something to work in your advantage for that, because the more shelter you provide for your vehicle, especially if you live in one of the hotter, more southern states, the better off you're gonna be, because your top surfaces in that car won't take such a beating from Mother Nature day in, day out, where it seems like we have 9 months of summer. So it takes a little bit more of a toll on vehicles down here in the south than it does up north. So hopefully that helps you understand how important it is to get shelter for your vehicle, and how much it could benefit if you actually got shelter for your vehicle, to where it doesn't have to take such a beating from the sun and Mother Nature throughout the course of the year, and what a hot paint surface is so susceptible to, and the damage that can cause in a relatively short amount of time if you don't keep the vehicle super clean, super contaminant free, and super protected. So anyway, hopefully that sheds some light on some things, and maybe a little bit of a wake-up call if you don't have a garage, and what you'll need to do to keep your ride tight. So thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video. Nighty night.